Fear Street. I'm Jack. With the increasing popularity of social media, it's only natural that people would begin to use it as a dating service. Think about it. You see someone you like, you slide into their DMs, you got yourself a date. It's almost too convenient. But as with every convenience, there's a downside. Tonight's story is about a young man who learns firsthand that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. It's one for the ages. So stick around, lock the doors, and turn out the lights. We're about to enter Fear Street, where nightmares come alive.
How the hell did I get here? No, not in the literal sense. I mean, how did I end up sitting in the corner of my bedroom feeling like I'm teetering on the brink of insanity? I mean, lights off, candles lit, a stack of books on witchcraft, struggling to make sense of all this mess. You must think I'm nuts. Hell, I probably would too, if I were you. People always judge what they don't understand. Hey, I'm not saying I blame you. Anyway, if I took you back to the beginning, to when this all started, you'd get it. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Jordy. See, it was 2 weeks ago now. I was checking out some random profiles on Instagram, following and DMing local hot chicks. I know, that makes me sound like a total douche, but well, actually, I have no excuse for that, so yeah, I guess I can be a bit of a douche. Anyway, I came across this one girl's profile. We'll just call her Ash, and I swear, she was like the hottest girl I'd ever seen. On that day, anyway. You know how it is. So, of course, your boy had to slide up in those DMs. If I can get a girl to laugh at a corny joke, then I know I've got her, so I hit her with, "Do you like bagels? Because you're bagels." Get it? Lame, I know. I figured she got like 1 million DMs a day, so I was surprised when she responded with, "Seriously?" and a question mark. I responded with, I know, corny. But I worked really hard to spell all the words right, then a laughing emoji to let her know I was being playful. She responded with a laughing emoji and, well, at least you put some effort into it. I responded with, "Actually, I noticed that you're a foodie like me." Then I told her about this great restaurant that I was going to on Friday, which was total bullshit, by the way, and invited her to come along. We messaged for a while afterward, and I ended up getting her number. Of course, I had to show her off to my boys, and when I did, my best friend Brian checked out her profile, and aside from the obvious, this chick's hot enough to melt steel, he also pointed out something that I hadn't noticed before. He said, "Bro, why is she wearing black in like all these pictures?" I went back to her profile and realized that she was wearing black in literally every single picture. I did have to admit that it was pretty weird, but not like she's a psycho weird, so I reasoned that she probably just really liked black or was emo or something, or whatever. So after what seemed like an eternity, Friday evening finally rolls around. I go to pick Ash up and pull up in her driveway. There were no cars there, which I found odd. I swear her house had some creepy-ass, insidious vibes, and I thought about texting her and telling her to meet me at the car, but being the gentleman that I am, I got out, locked my doors, and walked to her door. I rang the doorbell. Nothing. So I rang it again. Still nothing. I rang it again and knocked multiple times, calling out loud enough for anyone in there to hear. Keep in mind that the house looked totally empty. No cars in the driveway, no lights on, no noise, nothing, which was hella weird considering that it was getting dark outside. At this point I'm thinking she stood me up, and I'm pretty pissed, but mostly embarrassed. I started walking back to my car, which was a '72 Chevelle SS, so needless to say, I didn't have power locks. When I went to unlock my door, I dropped my keys. I bent down to pick them up, and I could have sworn I saw someone standing on the other side of the car. It was a woman, wearing black boots. I thought maybe it was Ash, so I stood up to see, but there was no one there. I looked under the car again, but there was still no one there. All of a sudden, I jumped and damn near screamed when a hand grabbed my shoulder, but I turned around to see that it was Ash. "Hey," she said. I greeted her back. "Hey!" "Hey there." I told her I had knocked and rang the doorbell and asked where she had been. She replied, "Oh, sorry, I was out back." I asked her if she lived there by herself, and there was like a 10-second pause before she finally said, "No." There was a super awkward silence before I broke it with, "Oh, okay, well, we'd better get going, it's getting pretty late." She pinned me against the car and kissed me, and I'm not talking a peck on the lips. This was a full-on, tongue down my throat kiss while grabbing my, well, you know what she was grabbing. It was so unexpected, I just basically stood there, hands flailing about in midair until it was over. I'm not gonna lie, I was majorly turned on by it, but at the same time, I was kind of repulsed, like, damn, that's how she gets down? Then she gave me the come fuck me eyes and said, "Okay." She started to walk around my car to get in, but shit, I guess I was thinking with the wrong head, and I stopped her. I pinned her against my car and we started making out. Before I knew it, clothes started coming off and we were making our way to second base, then third, and finally sliding all the way into home plate, if you know what I mean, right there on the hood of my car. Now don't get me wrong, I've had one-night stands before, but this was definitely next level, even for me. As soon as I arrived, wink wink, my brain decides to start working again. But it was like there were two people in my head. On the one hand, I was thinking things like, damn, how'd she do that thing with her? Well, okay, never mind, that's TMI. On the other hand, I was thinking things like, I probably should have taken this chick to dinner first, and more importantly, I gotta get the hell out of here. But before I could, she asked if I wanted to come in. I tried to politely decline, but when she insisted, I ended up giving in, totally out of obligation. Anyway, so we went into her house and she offered me a drink. I took it and told her I had to be going soon. So I was being polite, making conversation, even though something about her was just a little off, which was fine. I just figured she was a little weird, which I could handle, for a little while anyway. But then she starts planning the next day for us, like we're gonna spend it together. All kinds of red flags and alarms are going off in my head, but I just play it cool. I said, actually, I'm busy tomorrow. She says, okay, then Sunday. I'm like, actually, I'm busy Sunday too. She flips and says, that's such bullshit. When are we supposed to spend time together? My mind is screaming at this point, saying stage 5 clinger. And I just wanted to run out of there, but I played it cool. Look, I said, I don't have much free time these next few weeks, so I think it'd be best if we didn't see each other for a while. What? She said, sounding pissed. She said, so all this was just to sleep with me? I defended myself. You started it. I was just going to take you out to... She cut me off. So this is how you treat girls? Fuck them and then blow them off? No, I intervened. Liar, she said. I'm a witch, and you're going to regret this. I was getting pretty pissed at this point, and so I sort of taunted her. Oh no, not a witch. What are you going to do? Put a hex on me? And this is when things went next level creepy. She gave me the most evil look I've ever seen. I can only describe it as pure hatred, and said, you'll be sorry. I got this horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach when she said that, and I knew I had to get the hell out of there, so I booked it from my car and headed home. I didn't sleep much that night. I just couldn't shake that evil look she had given me. And what did she mean by "you'll be sorry"? Was that a threat? I concluded that it was just her emotions talking, and that she was probably just trying to scare me. After all, what could she do to me? I woke up the next day in a distant, kind of a haze. Similar to when you wake up hungover, having done something you regret the night before, but in all honesty, I was just happy to be done with it. It was around 8 a.m. Early for a Saturday, but I couldn't sleep anyway, so I figured what the hell. I went to the kitchen to make breakfast and poured myself a bowl of cereal, then turned on the TV like I always do on Saturdays. I took a bite of my cereal and screamed. I spat the bite out and watched as blood began to flow from my mouth, turning my milk a deep crimson. I reached into my mouth and pulled out a piece of glass from the roof of my mouth. I wondered how the hell this could have happened. My breath became short and labored as I looked into my bowl and saw that there were broken glass shards in there. I sifted through it with my spoon and started pulling out the shards, one by one. I kept count. In total, I pulled out over 20 shards of glass. The thing that tripped me out was that someone had to have put them in there. But then that didn't make any sense because, and I know this sounds crazy, but I swear it, the box was unopened. I had opened it myself, so someone would have had to break into my house, open my cereal, put glass in it, then seal the bag and box back as if they had never been opened. Even Ray Charles could see that that would have been damn near impossible. All sorts of crazy thoughts raced through my mind. After some time had passed and my mouth had stopped bleeding, I started to calm down. I had thought about whether or not I should call the cops, but ultimately decided not to. Honestly, what could they do? All of a sudden, I got the feeling that I was being watched. I shut the blinds, but still the feeling stayed with me throughout the remainder of the day. And later that night, when I was in bed, I could have sworn I heard whispers coming from my bedroom. I live alone, by the way. The next morning, I awoke, thinking things were okay. I had made it through the worst day of my entire life, relatively intact, so it could only get better from here. I just wish I had been right. Right from the moment I woke up, I still had this unshakable feeling that I was being watched, despite no one being around. And right from when I got out of bed, it was one disaster after another. I tripped over my shoe and twisted my ankle. My cell phone service was a joke. A pigeon crapped right on my head. It was like a dark rain cloud was following me. Then I remembered what that lunatic Ash had said. I couldn't deny that there had been a hell of a lot of coincidences, but still, in my mind, there was no such thing as curses, so I reasoned that it was just bad luck. But how long could it last? So, that night I was asleep when all of a sudden I woke up to something trying to pull me off the bed. In the darkness, I could only make out two silhouettes, each pulling one of my legs. I held onto the headboard for dear life, screaming, "Get off me!" These shadows, for lack of a better word, had long nails, and I know because I could feel them plunge deeply into my calves. This continued for about 2 or 3 minutes, until eventually they let go and disappeared, seemingly into thin air. I would have thought it only a dream, but the deep scratches on my calves said otherwise. Still, some part of my mind wanted to believe that this was all just a bad dream. Things went on like that for a while, and began to escalate. Over the next few weeks, my dog ran away from home and I couldn't find him. I nearly died from food poisoning, and the hood of my car inexplicably fell on my hand, breaking 2 bones. It got to a point where I was afraid just to get out of bed, and I decided I couldn't live like that, so I went to this occult store and told the girl working there that I thought I'd been cursed. I asked if there was anything she could do to help me. It must have been pretty obvious that I wasn't kidding, because she went to the back and brought out this monster of a book on witchcraft. She flipped to a section on reversing curses and told me that all the info I needed was in there, and gave it to me. I got in my car and put the keys in the ignition, but it wouldn't start. The battery, which I'd only gotten about a month prior, was totally dead. Luckily, the girl from the occult store was able to give me a jump. I headed home, locked myself in my room, and began devouring that book. I have to stress the fact that I didn't believe in any of this stuff, but I couldn't deny that since that night with Ash, there had been a series of eerily synchronistic coincidences, seemingly following me around like a rain cloud. So I began reading the book and doing the techniques it suggested, but after a few days, things didn't seem any better. In fact, they seemed to be getting worse. I was walking through a store when a can of paint fell off a shelf onto my head, knocking me unconscious and giving me a concussion. There were other accidents, too numerous to mention, and I began to panic. I ordered more books on witchcraft online and spent all my time reading them and practicing the things they taught. I became obsessed. I basically stopped leaving home. My social life became non-existent, and most nights I found myself locked in my room, candles lit, sitting in the corner on the verge of a mental breakdown, which I guess brings us full circle back to where we started, me here in my room. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel so alone. I constantly hear whispering voices. They're threatening me, telling me they're coming for me. And more, I'm beginning to believe them. And the worst part is, there's nothing I can do about it.
Okay, I'm ready. Seriously.